Hey everybody, today I have a review video of the MeiLiang 48 pearlescent solid watercolors. MeiLiang is a brand from Paul Rubens, and I have reviewed some of their other watercolor sets in the past already, and there is a playlist linked up at the top right corner. My box is a little bit damaged, unfortunately, so in case you plan to use this as a Christmas gift, that might be not so good. I think usually that doesn't happen. And if you order from Amazon, you could always just return it and we'll get a new one. I really like their watercolors. As I said, I already have some sets and I use them regularly in my work. I think they are really good in quality for their price, and especially for beginners, it's a good starting point because you have a big amount of colors within one of these sets. These are only pearlescents today, and I'm really curious to see how they look and also how they look on a dark paper. Yeah, we will just open this box and then swatch the colors first, and I will make a little abstract art journal page in that journal that I got from them at the end. It comes with this clear sleeve over the top where you can see the names and the numbers of each color, and you also have the numbers on the box itself. I would just keep that and then put it on top when I close the box. You can pull these pans out, so in case you want to just use a few of them, you can take those out, so you don't have to lay the whole box on your desk. And I'm just looking if there is a swatch sheet within the box. No, there is no swatch sheet where you can swatch the colors, so I will just use a watercolor paper for that, and then I will swatch out the colors, and then I will lay that piece into this box so I can I have a reference on how these colors are looking. What I'm doing first is I'm going to spritz the colors with water because metallic watercolors need a little bit of time to get activated, and it's always good to spritz them with water and then let them sit for about 5 minutes maybe, and then they are ready to be used. I cut a piece of paper that will go into the box. It's a little bit thinner in height than an A4, and now I'm going to swatch the colors. I think I'll let them sit for about only 2 minutes, but they are already good to go. That's kind of a white silver color, very light silver color. I think I'm going to speed up that part a little bit so you don't get bored by me swatching all these colors, and then I will talk to you at the end how I like them, and we will try them on an art journal page. yeah, that's what you get within the set. I would say there are 5 gold colors which are quite similar. Maybe 6. These, all of them. You have 3 lighter ones and 3 more darker ones, I would say. They are, for me, they are identical. Same with the copper colors. This one is a little bit darker. I really like that one. It's a really nice color. It goes towards an orange, but it's very similar to this one. Same as here, and with also with the purples and the pinks, you get a lot of similar colors. So I would say you don't need that many different colors maybe. With the greens, I am just missing kind of an olivey green, more a yellow greenish color. But there are not so many that are similar. Maybe the turquoise is here. But these are all different shades. I really like these ones and that one, and also that light color here. I will also swatch this, the colors on some black paper. I do not have a watercolor paper, but I have a black sketchbook from Royal Talents, and I will use this to swatch them so we can see. Maybe I'll place this here like so, so we can see how opaque they are on some darker paper. I think that's always important. Ooh, oh, you don't see it, sorry. That's nice. That's always important for those of you that like to do hand lettering with these paints and make maybe some greeting cards. I personally don't do it. I just use them, for example, to color in stamped images, use them as accents on some artwork, on art journal pages, on watercolor paintings. I'm really impressed by that light silver. Here we are. Nice. Really like that the colors look much more different, except from the golds, I would say. But they look much more different on that black paper. So if you work over a darker background, you get some really interesting effects, I would say. Color-wise, it's just even more interesting than on white paper. Really nice. And I think that could be really interesting in mixed media if you play abstract and then you go on top with these metallic colors and you have darker colors underneath. I think they are much more shimmery on the black than on the white. This one, for example, has a very decent shimmer. It's not very intense. I really like the colors. I think they are nice. You get a lot of gold, so I think also gold is one of the most used metallic colors for me. whenever I add some metallic accents, I tend towards gold. So this is something I use the most. So maybe it's good to have a bit more of them. Yeah, I will now jump into an art journal process. I will make a little page in that watercolor journal Paul Rubens sent me alongside these colors. Let's just open it and have a look at the paper. I have no idea if it's a hot or cold press watercolor paper. There it says cold press 300 GSM, 20 sheets. And I really like this format where I can work upside down, and you can tear the pages out. There is a perforation where you can tear the pages out. It's very heavily cold pressed, I would say. It has a lot of texture. Not sure if you can see it. And it's textured on both sides. It looks quite similar each side. So I like it when I have the same paper in one book. I am not a big fan of textured smooth. That's not my thing. I really like to have one kind of paper in one journal. So we will play in this and make a little art journal spread. I'm starting this page with some normal watercolors. This is the Mei Liang set I reviewed in the past. One of them, it has some pastel opaque colors in it, and some normal watercolors and 2 metallics also. But today, of course, I will use the metallics from that nice big set I just swatched. But as I said, I'm starting out with the normal set because I don't want to only use the metallics. I think that would be a bit too much. But I want to use these as an accent later in the process. I'm working intuitively. I just pull up down some color. I really like working abstract just to warm up sometimes and just to play. I think there are times where we don't have a good idea, don't know what to do, and instead of not being creative, I really like to just play with paints, and that's what I'm doing then. I really try to stay loose, to not think about everything I do too much. And I just go with it. When I have something on there that I don't like, I try to fix it, cover it up, mix it, like the green here. I didn't like it. I mixed a little bit of blue in, and I really like that. It's always a good starting point for some color combos. Sorry for the noise. I'm just clipping the pages here together so it does not buckle that much. It's a good starting point for a color palette. Sometimes when I play abstract, I just dip in different color schemes. I do not think about what exactly I'm using, and I just play, and sometimes I get some really lovely color combos. I try to stay with the transparent colors for this spread, because I think if I would use some pastel colors, which I have in this set, the white pigment in them would maybe bleed into the metallic color later, and then it will ruin the metallic effect. I don't know if this will happen, but I'm afraid it might. So I stay with the paints in the box that are not with white pigment, so they are not pastel or opaque. I also try to not cover up the whole page, and I also try to not to not fill the whole page with the same kind of texture. So at this stage I would just let it dry, and when it's dry I would come back to add another layer with more marks and textures. You could work into this with pencils, with water soluble pencils. You can make some scribbly lines if you want to. Why, let's do this, why not? Just use a water soluble pencil and make some marks. You can add some different textures to this work. Any water soluble pencil would do the job. I just have a black one here. I try not to overdo it, which sometimes I find is very hard. It's such a playful exercise. It loosens you up, it gives you some creative starting points, I would say, and also some creative energy. So I will let that dry. It looks like the paper does not soak in a lot of the water. We will test that later once it's dry, if we can remove some of it, if that's possible. It looks as if the colors don't sink into, they stay very much on top, and that makes them stay vibrant. It's something I really like. I'm not a big fan of watercolor papers that soak in the water so much and then you the colors dull down a lot, and I like it here because it looks as if it would stay very vibrant, but we will see it once it's dry. I let that dry, and I now would like to add in a little bit of texture by just using water, and I also wanted to see how good we can reactivate the paint and then maybe remove it from the painting. That's interesting. You can get a lot of color removed. That's quite interesting, I think. I also wanted to turn that red color a little bit towards an orange, because then I get a more complementary color combo. Of course, as the paint reactivates so well on the paper, layering is quite difficult because you will immediately reactivate the color underneath. I have to keep that in mind. I don't want to overdo that. Really like it. I want to add some of the metallic colors once this is dry to finish that painting, and maybe we could add a little bit more mark making, for example with a smaller brush, maybe using that turquoisey blue again, maybe add some different kind of pattern. What I also really like are some splatters, maybe. I will let that dry and then we will add, I think, some gold from the metallic watercolors. I just pulled that gold out. I just used any of them. They are so similar. And I spritz it with water and let it sit for about, let's say, 10 minutes this time. It gets a very creamy consistency. And I just want to maybe paint some kind of leaf as a focal point. I'm curious if the paint underneath will be reactivated and then mix into that gold. I'm not sure. We will see. Of course, you could pre-draw the leaves you are adding. I just prefer doing it freehand. You can see the blue tends to bleed in a little bit. But so far the gold covers up the background quite heavily, so I think that's a good thing, because if you have a metallic color, you want it to be opaque, I think. I think it does not catch it very good on camera. You can see it. I will try to make some photos and put these at the end of my video. I'm also going to make some gold splatters. Maybe also some bigger ones. It dries quite quickly. Okay, I think that's enough. Don't want to overwork it. You can see it a little bit, how the gold is looking here. The blue bleeds in quite heavily and it mixes towards a green, but that's because of the paper. As I said, the colors stayed very vibrant on this paper. It's good and it's not. It depends on what you like. And the colors reactivate extremely, but that's also because of the paper. So I think the metallics are wonderful and they are very opaque. You could cover a lot dark colors with these. And I think they are perfect for hand lettering and making accents on some art journal pages. I also will use these to color in some stamped images, especially when you have a butterfly. It looks quite nice, but then I would emboss the butterfly image so that the embossing will resist the watercolors and you will not cover up the whole image. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed that little review video and I hope you like the art journal page, and we will see you soon. Bye.